Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Anthony. This is FPV Builds. This is build video number 2 on the E-flite SR71. So as you can see where I'm at, I will break it down for you really quickly where I've come to and what I've done so far, okay? So I took out this. This was the flight controller, receiver, ESCs all in one. I don't fly Spectrum, so I got rid of this, okay? And in order to get rid of this, the best way I figured was I used a quadcopter PDB. That is doing a 5-volt out to my receiver. I used two 35 amp ESCs, one for each motor. They are joined by one signal wire into the receiver for the throttle. I swapped out the E-flite servos. They were like little UMX garbage servos, plastic gears. They were just horrendous. I have one. Hold on. So these are the servos. They're actually pretty laughable. I mean, it looks like a decent design, don't get me wrong. Little PDB on it, but that's the servo. You can tell it's a brushed motor, little plastic gears. So I swapped that out for digital metal gear servos. These are 4-gram servos. I carved out the foam, put them in. Okay. So I took all those servos out. It had 3 servos, one there, one on this side, and then one in the middle with both the control horns hooked up to it, and it would go front and back like that. And this is the solution I came up with the middle. Took me a little bit. I did a little bit of work off camera, so it took me a little bit to figure this out. The control surfaces come up and down pretty even, except for when they're at full extension. This one will come up a little bit more on this ways, and then this one will go a little tiny bit more than this side. That's just because of the length of the rods, but for the most part, they're pretty even during the entire travel. I did that by manually adjusting the rods, unbending them, putting a bend into them, and getting them to the right location. So right now, I have hooked up my controller and receiver to everything, and everything tests pretty good. I have to do a little bit more programming. I got to program these in the transmitter, but I'll show you where I have real quick, just so you can see what's working. And I think I probably could have did this differently, but I think I came up with a pretty good solution for this. Obviously, this is not going to be like this. I'm going to put everything away nice and neat. This is just for right now as I'm testing everything. All the wires are kind of all over the place. My workbench is kind of a mess. I haven't fully screwed in the arms on the servos either.
Welcome to OpenTX. Switch warning.
Okay. So let's just plug in my battery real quick. I'm going to be running a 4S 2200 on this plane. So... Oh, too close. There we go. Sorry, that was too close to it. So, as you can see, that works pretty good. Like I said, at full throw, it'll still be fine, but at full throw, this comes up a little bit further, and then on this side, on full throw, that one goes down a little bit further. There really isn't much more I can do about that. I can keep playing with it, but as long as they're both moving at the same time, we're good, and they are. And then these, I have to separate these out in the controller, do a mix to... I put them on separate channels, they're not bound together. So I have to do that in the mix. Good thing about using the PDB is, even with the servos going, I will get... This has got a 5-volt regulator on it, so I will constantly get a 5-volt to my receiver, and I won't have a brownout. These ESCs, I disconnected and connected. I soldered on bullets, so if I have to switch any wires or do any quick repairs, I can. these ESCs should be strong enough. I believe the E-flite setup, this is 40 amps total. So now I have 35 amps per channel for each motor. I tested the motors in the motor direction. They all work good. So I am moving in the right direction. So now I'm basically down to buttoning everything up on this side and then putting the FPV setup on it. Now, I did have to hack away a whole bunch of foam out of here to get all this to be where it is right now. So then I just went over it with a little bit of black latex paint and painted it inside there because you could see it through here. So I just want it to be covered in nice and black. So everything fits and functions perfectly under the cover. I'll show you that right there. So nothing's in the way. Everything will work and fit perfectly. Yeah, it's moving along pretty nicely. So all these mods came together pretty nice. And once this is all nice and neat in here, everything will be plugged up and all the wires will be hidden, and I could even put the little servo covers back on. I'll put them over here. If I wanted to get crazy, which I'm not going to get crazy, if I wanted to get crazy, I could fill these holes in with a little bit of foam, make them nice, paint them, Mod Podge it. You would have never known that those were there. Make it look like a panel line. I could carve the panel lines into it. I'm not going to do all that right now. Maybe down the road I will. I got a lot of planes to work on, and I have a giveaway coming up, and I have a lot of stuff going on, so I need to get this plane done. Sounded like a lot of rambling, sorry. Yeah, so that's where we're at. So I tested everything. Everything works. Motors work. I'll show you that again. Give you a little thrust here. You can see. So we're good. Both of them work in unison. Nice and strong. 70 amps. So we're good to go. So that's where we're at. All right. So let's unplug this. Let's shut this off. I did Mod Podge the top of the plane. I do have to do the bottom of the plane. It's easy for me to do quick little projects like that, like during the week, like just take a few minutes and paint the inside of this and Mod Podge the plane, and you not get too involved. But so now I have to start working on cleaning up all these wires. And I will show you really quickly what I had planned for this. So this is going to come in here. Oh, I also am running the FPV 10 volts for the VTX off of the PDB as well. The reason this wire is so long is it's got to go all the way to the front where the camera is going to be. So hang out and let's see if I can reach that through there. Come on. There you go. Come on. Yeah, this plane was a way bigger project than I wanted it to be. You know, most of their, I took a little flack in the comments. I made a video about how if you don't fly Spectrum, you shouldn't buy this plane. And I took a bunch of flack for that video, and a couple of people commented saying, you know, I'm crazy. That's what Spectrum does, and they've been doing this for years, and it shouldn't be a surprise. My point is, I have a bunch of E-flite planes, and normally it's just a receiver. With this unit here, it's not just a receiver, and for somebody who wants to just put a different receiver in a plane that doesn't fly Spectrum, it's not an easy thing to do on this plane. Now, they don't really advertise that with this model, and I guess that's why they only come with a bind and fly model, but even with regular bind and fly models, I'm able just to pull the receiver out. So that was my point with the whole thing. So anyways, show you what I got going on here. So my plan is I'm going to get this in here nicely. I'm going to glue that down like that, somewhere around there. I'm going to put the ESCs like that. Okay. ESCs there, and then the receiver is going to go here like this, and then my antennas I'll carve them into the foam a little bit and then just glue them down, and the antennas will go like that. Okay, and these will come down and around. The wires will come down and around, and then the cover will cover everything and you won't see it. So yeah, that's what we're going to start working on. Now, one thing I have to make sure of is I need to make sure that the CG is still the same when I do this. It's a little bit longer than it was, but that's okay. All right. So before I completely glue those wires down, I want to get the servo wire extended. No, that's not going to work. Okay. Just trying to lay out the wires right now of what's going to go where. I do have to glue this on a little better too. I had originally had to cut that off to get more access to hack out some more foam so I could get this PDB to fit in here better. Like that. Here we go. That's how that fits in there. And then I'll just glue the ends of it. Okay. Yeah. So if anybody, apparently Elon Musk went to the border today. Found that pretty interesting. I wonder if Elon's going to get involved in politics. I could see him at some point. I don't know. I feel like politics are a little below him, but he seems to care about. He's not your typical billionaire. He seems to care. I don't know. I'm going to get all kinds of crap for talking about this in the comments, but he seems to care about not just the world, but he does seem to care about the country. Doesn't seem like your typical selfish billionaire. Maybe that's just the persona that he's portraying, but I think he's a good dude. I think he's doing a lot for humanity. That one's screwed in. Let me go over there and screw that side in too. Okay. Alright, so it's going to be hard to get some glue down into that little hole right there. I'm going to make sure everything's done before I do that. Make sure that's all good before I start gluing that in there, because that would be a problem then. Looks like it's in. I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to that. I'll add a little bit of glue to the back of the ESCs. See where we're going from there. Popsicle sticks work awesome sometimes when you don't want to burn your fingers with hot glue. I'm not going to hot glue this wire all the way in. I'm just going to do it in a couple of spots, and then I have that black tape. That's the other thing you got to be careful with, especially on a plane that you want to watch weight on. You don't want to add too much hot glue because hot glue adds a lot of weight. Now I'm going to put the tape back on. So for right now, I'm just gluing this stuff down. Just to hold it in and keep it kind of organized for right now. Okay. This is like the most boring video ever, right? So what I'm doing is I'm routing the wires and gluing it in. I'll probably end up editing a bunch of the stuff out. I'm just showing you where I got to on the final product. Trying not to burn my fingers. That's important. Okay, so I can use, the plane came with these little stabbing things that there you go. Use that little ring. Boom, glue that there. Glue the other one there. That on that side. Let me glue the other side. Okay, that side's glued on. Let that dry. Okay. So I can start putting some of this tape back on. So that tape goes there. Alright, so what I'm going to use for this tape is canopy glue. I'm going to cut that too. I'm going to do this in one little piece at a time. Canopy glue is safer on foam and everything, and it won't eat through this tape. Okay, that's that piece. That's that piece. And then where is the other piece? Right? Okay. Whatever, I'll figure it out. I will make it work one way or another, but that piece goes there, and I want to glue that down so I can hold these wires in place, and that little ring is doing a good job, so there we go. Okay, there we go. Nope, gonna come this way a little bit. This is where my anal retentiveness comes from now. This is where I do stuff like this. Alright, that looks good right there. Alright. So put a little canopy glue on that. Just a smidge. And then we'll glue that one on because those wires are good. I know that AC is good. I know all of that is good to go. Use a cheap brush. So instead of just pouring it out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to brush it on nicely. There we go. So I get it in the grooves and I don't make a mess out of it, pouring it everywhere. That's why I'm using a brush right now. I'll put a link in the description for this too, but you should always have I don't know. It depends how far into you get into all this stuff. I keep little brushes around. I keep some paint markers around. I keep a couple of the main colors around in cheap latex paint that you can buy from Jones or Michaels. I keep red, white, yellow, blue, black. And with those colors, you can make greens and oranges and grays and everything else you want to make. And then I keep a couple of cheap brushes. Actually, the foam brushes I use to do the Mod Podge, I get those by the 50 pack. And it's like $8 for 50 of them. It's like super cheap. I think it's cheaper than that. But yeah. So I could put links for all the stuff that I get down in the description if you would like. I will put a link in the description of the canopy glue as well. The canopy glue is actually good stuff. It's meant specifically for canopies, but you can use it on this other stuff like this, and you won't have to worry about it eating through the foam or eating through the tape or anything like that. That's why I like using it. So there you go. That side's done. There you go. Nicey nice. We'll let that dry up a little bit. And then when I Mod Podge the bottom, I just Mod Podge right over that. Okay. Alright, everybody. So this side is completely done. Not completely done. Well, the motor wires are in. The tape is installed. Everything's covered up. The servo wire is extended and ran. You can see how I did the servo extension right there. I'm going to pretty much leave that like that. So now I'm going to do the opposite side. I flipped the plane around so I could work on the opposite side. So I'll start doing that. So I'm going to start with getting the servo wire to where I want it to be. Do the exact same thing I did on the other side. I'm going to add a tiny little bit of glue in a couple of spots. Just so I have enough to hold it down with. Like I said, you don't want to use a ton of hot glue. That's why I'm going to re-put the tape back on, because the tape will help me keep the wires sealed, and I won't have to use a lot of glue to do it. I'm only using the glue every couple of inches. Okay. That's there. Servo extenders. Servo extenders are the exact same size. I want to make it so I can tuck the wire in when I fold it over, like that. And that's about where I have it on the other side, so that's where we're going to glue it, right there. And then I'll glue the sides of it. Okay, that's on there. See how the wires are nice and neat. So now I can tuck that. Put the tape over it, nicey nice. Popsicle sticks work great for this, so you don't cut or damage the wire. Good. Okay, so now that will be there. The motor wires are pretty much routed. Do a little dab of glue back here. I'm gonna get the wires nice and straight, so I'm gonna glue them right in the corner right there. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna add a little glue in this corner over here. So that is good there. Okay. All right. Okay. Now we'll go there. That's good to go. Oh, good. Make sure I didn't push through. Okay. Good, good, good. Okay. Okay. Start putting the tape back on. See, this goes here, right? That goes there like that. All right. Let's get some. A little canopy glue. Get a little canopy glue in there. So not only will the canopy glue hold this on, Okay. Start laying out the rest of my stickers. Okay. Get this sticker on. I know this isn't like the most titillating video ever, and I apologize, but this is what it's like. It's not all fun and flying. Truth be told, kind of hate this plane already. But always wanted an SR71. It was a birthday present, so can't really argue with it. That's the other thing. If you're looking to get into planes, right? So I used to have an auto shop or an automotive business back in the day, and when I started getting into drones, what I did was I sold a lot of my tools and equipment, and I used that to fund the hobby, and then I sold some more, and now I pretty much got rid of everything, and that's how I've funded everything that I've been doing. But Christmas, holidays, I either ask people to get me a gift card to a hobby shop, Amazon, or I ask for specific models. And that's a good way to boost your hobby without having to spend your own money. Yard sale. I had a yard sale not too long ago. And I sold a lot of stuff that I just had sitting around in bins. So if you've been thinking about doing a yard sale, I highly recommend it. It was great. I got almost $2,000 for stuff that was sitting in bins for 10 years. Go through your house, look for collectibles. There's a YouTuber, Gary V. He talks about making a living and doing that and buying and selling and doing yard sale stuff and starting out by just grabbing stuff around his house. And one man's trash is definitely another man's treasure. I sold G.I. Joes that I had from when I was a kid. Nothing crazy. They were from the 80s. I put them up in a lot on Facebook Marketplace right before I did the yard sale as I was cleaning everything out. I got $600 just for the G.I. Joes. And I had people begging me to buy them. Like, I put it up, and within a couple of minutes, I had all kinds of messages. So, just an idea. If you want to get into this hobby and you want to keep growing in the hobby and you're short on cash, sell stuff that you don't use anymore. Get rid of stuff that just sits around. If you don't use it within a year, you're probably not going to use it and you can get rid of it. That's the general rule of thumb. This sticker, because the glue is still wet, is not working. tape here. Alright, that's good to go. Slap a little stuff on there, and I'm good to go. Alright, I will come back once I get the receiver in and we'll go from there. Alright, so the electronics are all wrapped up. As you can see, everything is nice and neat. Receiver is in. I tested everything, made sure everything worked. Everything works. Everything fits neatly under the tray. Sorry about the shaky camera. Everything fits neatly under the tray. So that goes there. That goes there. Boom. Okay. And then I also made a modification to the battery tray. So the battery tray had, the battery cover had this front piece right here that was actually glued into like the foam right there, and it made it kind of a pain in the butt to fit the packs in. So I super glued the front side together, hot glued the back side together, so I made just one big battery cover, and then I put a magnet in the front. So now double magnets. Oh, that front magnet's pretty strong. Double magnet, push it in, boom, new battery tray. It should be nice and strong. Oh boy, it really is nice and strong. So now onward and upward to the FPV setup. That's what we're working on next. Oofed. So yeah, that's it. Underside's done. Everything works. All the electronics are done. I am ready to do the FPV gear now. All right, everybody. Let's get rocking on that FPV setup.